I am mine.
Ready to go? All right, we'll get started. So let's call the public meeting to order and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda? If there are none, we'll move on to the first session of public comments. As we always do, we'll open it up for anyone online to submit any public comments per our policy that you see here displayed on the screen. So we'll give it a few minutes and just ask that you raise your hand if you're online. We don't have anybody here in the room with us, and doesn't look like anyone's raising their hand online, and we'll have a second session at the end of the meeting as well. So up next, after public comments, we welcome Jaden and her student representative report. So welcome.
Thank you very much. So after the conclusion of this most recent meeting, I created a Google form to collect student opinion on possible redesigns or upgrades to the athletic fields that we had previously discussed. And the feedback that I received in only the course of like a day, which was today, was incredible. I think I received over 60 responses, and the heaping majority of them were incredibly informative. They weren't like good, bad, whatever. And so the essential summary was that they really want a football team. They really want a football field. They're very excited to have more school spirit on a redesign, like with more orange and black on the field and having the new Oriole design. They think that would be really beneficial to enhancing some school spirit, as well as the stadium lighting being a great addition for more Friday night lights or nighttime meets. Very, very excited about that. Mostly positive on that first design. And for the lower field, it gets a little more torn. The majority believe that it's a great opportunity to get more use and more versatile, particularly with fall sports. I mean, with spring sports, it's more like baseball here, softball there, but with fall, they have field hockey, soccer. They're introducing a flag football club, I believe, right now. They just want to ensure the clear division between sports lines to avoid confusion while they're playing, but they do really like the concept of it being more versatile. So they're very excited about that. And then with the additional lot, with that land on 202, yes? Mm-hmm. Okay. Very torn on that, least frequently supported, but those who did were optimistic about more capabilities. They were torn conceptually, excuse me. They're concerned about walking distance, which obviously I think that's not walking distance. Some think that the new space would be very refreshing and like very athletic centered, but others believe that it's unnecessary to expand, seeing as we have multiple sports fields anyways, especially financially. They think it would be unnecessary to expand, but overall, they're very, very excited about having this new idea opened up. So I'm very excited to hear more. That's all I have from that.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
So just a question, did you share like the presentation or?
I took little screenshots of like the designs and then I linked the actual presentation if they wanted more information. So
they're able to see everything that we saw. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised by that. And I think that that's something that, we'll be looking at in this upcoming budget session as far as.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they didn't really see the point of adding football field if we didn't have a football team, but the amount of feedback I've heard, ever since I even came to what was formerly known as JRMS, they want football. they've wanted football and they still continue to want football. So I'm hopeful to kind of look into that more. If it's a possibility, that'd be great. And if not, we can seek alternatives, but they're very excited. So I'm excited.
Can I just ask, how did you do the survey? You sent it out by
Yeah, Google form.
on Google Form?
Yeah, it's really simple and easily accessible. You know, I went to Mr. Dustin and he had sent it out to the student body. It's like 6 through 12. So
Nice.
That's awesome.
yeah.
And what kind of how many responses did you get?
Last I checked, which was about an hour ago when I was wrapping up my preparing for it, was about 62, and which it had only been sent out at around 10 a.m. this morning. So
Wow.
62 since 10 a.m. is not bad for me.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, like I said, as we investigate these and propose certain things, your input and student input is something that we'll be relying on, right? To show this isn't just a board idea or a parent idea. I think in order to get any of these through, we're gonna need to show that students are aligned with the board or aligned with parents, faculty.
Yep.
That's great.
Thank you very much.
Well, the other thing is too, that the kids will now go home and be talking to their parents about
Yeah.
this too.
Yep, yeah, any way we can get information out there, you see that, we don't have a ton of people here listening, although we had a great meeting last time, we went through that in detail. It doesn't get to a lot of people, they don't get the views, so I think it's totally agree with you, Cindy, it's a great avenue to
Right.
get that discussion and excitement started, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, anything else for Jaden?
Thank you.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jaden.
Thank you.
And next we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Well, it seems as though people are going to be surveyed out then, because either tomorrow or Wednesday during the day or early afternoon, I'll be sending out to the community, but also to our student body here as well. A survey that was developed by our architects relative to the CTE. So we'll have pictures and getting feedback on that, which will be really neat. So every Wednesday we meet with the architects via, Zoom or some, I don't know, Microsoft Teams, I guess it is, to communicate with them and to select some of the choices that they have. Sometimes it's just different ideas, different concepts. For instance, this last week, we talked almost the entire time about the courtyard, what that would look like and how that would be a multi-purpose area and how best to design that. So that's not even the building itself, but all that will be sent out to gain more information. And we plan on having an in-person session in November, I think mid-November, when the architects come back, and we'll have to broadcast and tell people in the community to come and take a part of that and see how things are going. I know that they're also in the process of developing some physical boards that, like, if you were to go into a vote and you were able to stop, it might have an easel with the boards and have various components of or pictures of and statistics and things of that nature. So kind of planning boards for those visual meetings. And then Kim Baker, myself, and David Dustin are going to be meeting, I believe, Wednesday to determine, or at least to schedule out, a little bit of a road show. So a small road show that we would go do with the information that we're getting from the architects to go and talk to different groups. So we will be wanting to set up a time with the Rotary, with the Lions Club, with the Chamber of Commerce, other groups that might want to have us come and speak to them about this project that we're working on. Today, I actually was up at the the Department of Education in Concord, because I've been selected as one of the members to work on future CTE projects in New Hampshire, or not so much the future projects themselves, but how they will be funded in the future. And so that's an interesting committee. It started off more introductory today, but we looked at what the charge of the committee was, selected a chair, actually co-chairs, someone from one of the colleges and someone else from industry is going to be co-chairing that over the next year. And we're going to be trying to develop a report as to how best we believe CTE should be funded in the state of New Hampshire going forward. Some of the conversation was around our current funding situation as well, which was helpful to know. I took some notes on the timelines, and that was helpful to us.
Good.
A really exciting piece of information from the Department of Education came last Thursday, I believe it was. Maybe it was Friday. And it is, I have told the board before that we were really good partners with the Department of Education in the last 3 or so years with something called multi-tiered systems of support for behavior wellness, so MTSSB. We've talked a lot about MTSSB. That partnership with them came to an end at the end of last year, but because we worked so well with them, they went for another federal grant and asked us to partner with them again, and about 4 or 5 other districts in the state of New Hampshire. And so this was more like MTSSB Part 2. So we have what that was, the grant would provide for us if the federal government would, awarded it to the state of New Hampshire, would award us the about $150,000 to use for an MTSSB district coordinator, so someone working with behavior supports throughout the entire district. Also about $100,000 for a mental health, either clinician or some sort of social work. We have to figure out how that's all going to work within our area. The grant was largely to try to get clinicians in school systems. It's hard to find individuals, especially in this area of the state. And so that would be helpful, and I think will be helpful to our district. And there's some other funds as well for to help just programming in general that we are doing. I was told on Friday of last week that the federal government awarded that to the state of New Hampshire. So we will start that grant in January. We will get approximately $250,000, $260,000 worth of supports per year for 5 years. So it's a $1.25 million grant basically to us in partnership with the Department of Education and some other school districts. And when we're in partnership with other people, we also share our resources, our thinking, our problem solving. And so you get more than that 1.25 million in that process as well. Plus, if we are good partners, we end up being able to sustain other types of efforts down the road, which is what we've seen and how we got into this situation this time. So I'm very excited about that. And we'll start to know more details around the middle of December, early January timeframe as to how to proceed. So it's good. And it fits our goals that we're working on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
Ruben, had the previous grant, I believe there were a number of sessions over the past, was it the past 3 years?
So we actually had 2. We had some support from the Department of Education. We were given free coaching that helped us to establish a lot of our teams, a lot of our processes for choosing programming, I guess you could say. And also it gave us what I would call fidelity rubrics. So they helped us measure and teach us how to measure how we were doing. And so that's what that was. There was another grant that we were part of simultaneously, and that was more local. I can't remember the name of it. It used to be a Systems of Care grant, but that provided us with funds to provide payment to our teachers and administrators who did some of this work after school hours. They actually, in that grant, and again, I can't remember the name of the grant, and it wasn't through the Department of Education, and we were part of that for a few years. The individuals on these committees were actually private contractors to that grant, so that didn't come through us. We were just partnered with Dennis Calcutt, who's a local individual. And I've worked on grants with him before. Again, it used to be called Systems of Care. I don't know what it was called, this last time around. But yeah, we've gotten a lot of financial and in-kind support for our projects that we've been working on over the past 3 to 4 years. And this is now more financial support for them.
TSSB will have its own resources, leadership.
That's correct.
It's not going to be embedded in.
It's not going to be embedded with other people's jobs.
I have a question about the CTE kind of calendar. It sounds like we're pretty set with the local inputs and
Mhm.
the roadshow and the survey. Have we received any additional feedback from the state as far as what they're looking for, their submittal dates, things like that, or?
No, but Jeff Beard, who's the
Yep.
director over there, I met with him today, and I'll reach out to him now that we're gonna be working with each other for a couple times a month now, to discuss more specifically about our project here. I know that in talking with our architects, we want to have a firm number, as firm as we can have as a number, an estimate for the warrant article by early January, so that we can get that warrant article set. We are estimating that the original estimate was like 27 or 28 million for the total project. Since we've we've lessened the project, made some changes, we think it's likely to be around that 20 million mark now. And then, 75% is what we talked about today in that meeting. If 75% is the percentage that they're willing to provide, if we qualify, then it's 75% of very specific costs. So it would probably end up being about 6 million, 6.5 million, maybe, for the district to figure out how to, pay that over a period of time, whether it be a bond, which probably at least a piece of it will be, or donations or other means.
Yeah, that's always the tough part of these projects where it's certainly informative, and I think we did the right thing.
Mhm.
At least we need to put out like about what the project is. And I think that's the
Yeah.
honest and transparent thing to do. But
Mhm.
also, we don't exactly know yet. We're still figuring it out. So
Yeah.
that can become an anchor sometimes, right? And I just want to make that clear, like if we say this number, we're still working on it, still in development.
It could be less, it could be a
yeah,
little bit more,
But that's just transparent about where we're at in the process, right? We're not
Mhm.
going to know that number.
right?
But I think if we'll find when we get into the budget process,
Yeah, we'll have to.
we've only got 2 months before we have to post whatever bond it is we're gonna get.
Yep.
So there ain't a whole lot of time.
And they'll award in June, and July would be when things could get started if you were awarded it.
When
Yeah.
would we expect a vote from the state? That has to happen first, right?
Yeah, I think June. They will approve it in June of 2025.
It's
They're
not gonna
going
be-
to,
So we'd vote on it first here?
we would vote on it first. That's actually part of the, yes, that was also found out today a little bit, or clarified today, that we will vote first. And part of their decision-making process is, well, this group voted for it. This group didn't vote for it, so we're not going to put the money over here. And so it makes it easier for their decisions. So for instance, Milford, I think has reduced their scope and project, so it's not as expensive as it was last time. And I know that they put it out for a vote already and it did not pass. And so they're going to do it again this time around. If it doesn't pass this time around, that's a lot of money by over half or maybe half of it that, we wouldn't be competing with at that point in time. If they were to get it, then they would have to determine whether they're going to fund all of Milford, for instance, or parts of that or what. At the beginning of this, in January, we put forward, that's we meaning Conval, Jaffrey Ringe, Messinic, all kind of one unit, and then Milford. So those areas put $63 million worth of construction costs to the State Department of Education. They've only ever really, I think the highest they've supported in a year was 25, maybe close to 30, but I don't think it hit 30 million. Now, construction costs have gone through the roof over several years. They've stabilized a bit, but the last couple of years they've gone up quite a bit.
Definitely, we'll want to understand. I was always under the assumption that the state would approve the money and then we'd vote on it, but it sounds
Nope,
like it's.
nope, reverse. The state will be having a conversation in December,
Okay.
I believe, about this, and we'll have to present in
Right,
December,
Yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah.
don't think it's actually going to be determined, or at least,
so there'll be some guidance as far as what's
yeah.
gonna be in the budget.
yeah, I
I
think so.
think in December.
Yes, December.
Because I knew there was some
Yes.
conversations that
Right.
happened then.
So
But-
the information I got on that was similar, that the state would be putting, would be having a state budget determination before our
Okay,
voting season. And at that time, they would be talking about how much money they're putting in the pot, so we'll know by
we'll
then.
know.
That's right.
But I also mentioned that, we understood we're competing with other things like a prison. And the person I spoke to corrected me and said, there's many things in the state budget. You're not competing with one thing. You're competing with everything, but you shouldn't feel that, one big ticket item is necessarily.
A figure that was thrown out today, and I wasn't understanding the entire context of this, but if it was either last time or this time around, they were saying that there was like $1.5 billion worth of construction or requests.
State highways and all sorts of
For,
things.
I think they said $120 million worth, 130 maybe million dollars worth of funds that are going to be allocated. So I don't know if that's exactly what you're talking about. What we're talking about, what else is being competed with.
State
No
capital budget,
idea,
yeah.
no idea. I don't have any details on that.
Can
But
I-
those are some big discrepancies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I think, talk about a little bit more practical in terms of the roadshow?
Yes.
If there's any opportunity to create a 3D design, I don't know who would do that, but I mean, a design or something so that it is easier for people to understand and visualize. It would be lovely if it was that old school phone board that way.
You could 3D print it these days.
There you go. That would be amazing. 3D printed, having students glue it together with fake trees would be fun too, but just something that's easier to understand and see and experience.
Mhm.
I don't know if the architects could just pick that up.
I don't know.
There's a lot of tools these days, right, that are
Yeah.
commonly used, even like, I've seen it, right, that's. You put on a headset and you can like look around. I'm not saying that they do that, but I mean, these aren't like, this isn't like state of the art stuff. There when people were doing that
Right.
10 years ago, maybe.
Maybe we could actually get, a $300 3D headset that was programmed with.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure, but those things are out there now and, coming down in price and increasing in.
I guess see what they have. I don't think it's.
Yeah, but just something so that it's easier to experience, because sometimes when those plans are on even the big board, it's a little hard to see, to certainly can't read the
Visualize.
writing and to understand the space.
Yeah, people aren't used to looking at architectural drawings
Right.
every day.
Oh, Moses.
Yeah.
Housing. So, something we spoke about, we've been speaking about at these meetings as well as in other meetings, is our communication process. And Chris, I think you made a very good point. That I think it was our last meeting, although I've heard you make it more than once. that, we don't have a lot of time for the communication piece either. And would have been nice if we could have started on more of that, last year or 6 months ago or something. But we still have some significant time. And on some of these things where we have unknowns, like what's the actual funding going to be? There can be a two-part process to that where you actually create some pressure to fund what you've described and what you've talked with your community about. And at the same time, we tell the community, of course, that this isn't written in stone until we have a decision from the state.
Yeah, and I've seen recently that, I agree that maybe we could have got started, but again, I've seen like Conval was, I read in the paper there, or after they talked about it after us. So I think we're on a similar timetable to other districts with the exception of Milford, which seemed to be like a year ahead of time, but
That's why
I think there's plenty of time, and to me, there's. You're talking about a vote in March, so that's pretty far away. You want it to be like a recent. A recent issue. I think November is probably about the right time to really start talking about it during our budget season.
That's why I would love some 3D models, I mean, actual physical models, not just 3D designs that are broadcast or displayed on the screen, but something that could be put in the library, something that students can see when they can walk in and think about and try to manifest, go home and talk about it with their parents, like, oh my gosh, Mom, have you seen this? This is so cool. We really need this. This would be so amazing for our towns to have this program, and to make it more material and real. And if we have to get more people to see it.
Yeah. And I think our school board meeting gave us kind of a good test run for those questions that we'll need to have answers to as far as, again, even if they're not completely solidified, but what's the plan to staff? What's the ongoing costs?
Yeah. What's the career potential? That was the one that I took away from that too. What's the career potential for the culinary arts program, for the safety program? So we can talk about what this impact this means for the students who do pursue this as a career. It's a launch pad.
I completely agree with that. I think that my personal CTE experience over at Conval was so incredible, so beneficial. And I mean, I'm in the career now.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the opportunities that are presented, even now before all this expansion, it's already like so telling of the capabilities. So just that tidbit.
See if we go back to. See if it was July 2023. I'm just gonna look at that for a second. See if. Yeah, so we have the labor market projections for 2026. Construction trades, 9% or 10% increase in Hillsborough County and a 5% increase in Cheshire County. Cosmetology, we have removed that from our facility plan. Culinary arts, you can see that. Very similar, a little bit more so in our local area than construction trades, but similar in Hillsborough County. And then protective services is less. Protective service, it's a little broader of a subject area. You have forensics, you have law, it's a lot of dabbling. And because the state isn't going to allow us to put fire science for something very specific like that in, it becomes something that people can explore and some laboratory sciences in there. But there's some information that we've put out.
I'll just be kind of revisiting that, right? Because
Yeah.
we talked about it
Mm-hmm.
like 2023 sometime.
Yeah, this is July 2023.
Right, so we definitely didn't have talked about it, but those same people weren't there, so just reminding them,
Mhm.
specifically to me around the what we've kind of heard is, I think in the construction trades is. It's never been that controversial, I think, especially in this community,
No.
people support it.
Yep.
For a number of reasons that probably don't need to take more time to discuss. I think the protective service category there, I think we probably need to define that a bit better instead of like what it is. I mean, you've said it right here, but what those classes are, and to me, what I've seen the pushback for culinary arts just being that, career paths. And to me, that is a little bit of like, could just be something where people disagree on the purpose of CTE. It's like just being specifically for,
Mhm.
high paying career and that, but it's worth a discussion. I think where I'm
Sure.
going with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's a discussion that we should be having over the next few months. So I think to Ruben's point, the information's out there. It's just organizing it and getting it out there over the next few months. Anything else? If not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. On it, we have the manifests, some budget transfers. Retirement effective at the end of the year for Pam Meehan at RMS. And the stipend list. So if I could get a motion, Charlie?
Make a motion
All right,
to approve the consent agenda.
thank you, Charlie. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sandy. Any questions or discussion?
Yes, just,
John, go ahead.
just like a couple of the numbers, like the 15,590 for tuition, private, other schools. Does that relate to student services or?
Yep, any of the tuition private other schools is student services. That could be either funds that need to go to special education placement or to a placement that is court ordered.
Makes sense. And I see there's a payment for contracted services for our architects.
Yep, so we started to put the money there for the contracted services for the Barker Architects. We are going to have an invoice for about 80,000 of the work that they've done so far. We will have to put more money in there, but we wanted to get that started anyway. So that's where we're at. So you'll see more of those transfers coming, but this was from locations that we were certain the money was open and available to transfer into the line that would need to be used for that.
And have they been getting payments?
Their
Regularly?
first round, like everything we did prior to this year, all that has been paid for. So the work that they're doing right now, we do owe some on, which this will more than cover that.
Right, so this will create a fund that we
Yes,
can
yes.
draw down from.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I think the invoice is gonna be 82 or 83,000.
Any other questions on the consent agenda? Now we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed and abstentions? The consent agenda is approved by a vote of 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the approval of meeting minutes. First up is the October 7th, 2024 meeting minutes.
I move we accept the October 7th meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you, Sandy.
I'll second.
Thank you, Christine. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the October 7th, 2024 meeting minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed and abstentions? That passes 5-0. We'll move on to the October 10th minutes.
This
non-public? Just want to be sure.
It-
There.
It is,
th-
it's non-public.
This is the. This is the order of what took place.
Yeah.
With things, the non-public minutes itself, because they were sealed, are separate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Saw those. Okay,
I
So
move
this-
we accept the October tenth minutes as presented.
Thank you, Sandy.
Okay,
Thank you, Charlie. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the October tenth meeting minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed and abstentions, so that passes 5 to 0. And we also have.
the October 10 non-public minutes were
Yeah.
distributed under separate cover
Right,
because they are sealed. So I will make a motion to approve the 10-10-24 non-public minutes.
thank you, Charlie.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sandy. Any questions or discussion? All right, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the October tenth non-public meeting minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions,
I abstain.
passes by a vote of 4 to 0 to 1. Next item on the agenda is one request to waive facility fees from the JGS Parents Group. They're doing a mile fun run to raise money for programs and activities for learners, staff, and families at the track here on
2 days.
2
ago.
days ago. Well, I guess we could still send them a bill if we wanted to, but I guess we'll. I recommend we approve this even if it's
I
the
make a
past.
motion to approve the request to waive facility fees for the JGS Parents Group.
Thank you, Christine. Someone second.
Second.
Thank you, Sandy. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor of, yes, Charlie.
Yes, where are we at with the MOUs?
Oh, good question.
They still need some work, and I have to get back to the people on it.
Okay.
And the JGS one needs a fair, or the Jaffrey one needs a lot more work to it because of the after-school programming that's starting on November 4th.
All right, all those in favor of approving this request to waive facility fees, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions? So that passes by a vote of 5 to 0. And next up, we have 2 action items. They are 2 field trips, one for middle school STEM to go to Mount Wachusett Community College for STEM Week. And the other for a trip to Plymouth Plantation, looks like again for middle school students go to Plymouth Plantation. 6th grade, probably. Any questions on
I'll
these?
make a motion for the first one, to approve the educational study trip to Mount Wachusett Community College.
All right, thank you, Charlie.
second.
Thank you, John. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the field trip to the Mount Wachusett STEM Week, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstentions, that passes by 5 to 0. And then we have the Plymouth Plantation trip.
I make a motion to approve the request for education study trip to the Plymouth Patuxent Museum.
Thank you, Christine.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sandy. Any questions or discussion?
Oh, what a cool field trip. Oh, my goodness me.
Right?
Love
I
it.
didn't know anything about pilgrims until I watched the John Wayne movies.
Maybe we can get you to go along on the trip, Charlie.
As a chaperone.
Okay.
See if can we fit Another another $20 in there or something? $22, Charlie.
We can probably figure it out.
We could probably
John
figure
got
that out. Excellent.
Oh,
Take it out of his
excuse
board
me.
payment.
I do have a question. What happens if a learner cannot afford, because this one's a little bit on the pricey side. Is there a fund that a family can apply to or?
I do believe that they are encouraged to contact the school
Okay,
if they are not able to. I don't think there are individuals not able to go.
Yeah. I've seen that in the past. I don't know the
I mean, we do
details
that.
behind it, but on any field trips notices that gets home with the kids, that require a payment or request a payment, they clearly say that if this is an issue, please just contact the school. So.
Yeah. We do that with athletics, materials.
Yeah.
Clothing, things like that, sneakers. We try to make sure that everyone has access. We have some people in the community who are pretty good about helping out.
So I think we have a motion and a second. So all those in favor of approving the trip to Plymouth Patuxent Museum, please indicate by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
All those opposed, any abstentions? That passes by a vote of 5-0. Next up, we have board committee updates. Really like to start down here.
Planning committee did not meet. We've got the budget review coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
More next month.
Sounds good.
November 7th and November 12th, right? Meeting in the morning and the afternoon?
What's that?
We'll be meeting in the mornings and the afternoon.
Correct. 9 to 12 and 3 to 6.
Any updates, John?
The facilities committee met on Saturday, as was advertised in the district mailer that went out a few weeks ago. We met at 10 in the morning and the public was invited, but we didn't get any members of the public there. Christine and Sandy and I were there with Ruben and with our facilities director, Sandra Kibbe. And we talked, I guess, it would be the next phase of what we've been talking about for a while, which is trying to identify a capital improvement program and make it available to the public so they will know what are the items that we're looking to address over the coming years. I think part of that process will be to bring them up to date on what's been addressed, but also to lay out a long list of items that because of the ages of the building, but also because of our desire to make these schools modern schools that we can be proud of, items that we think should be addressed, and to give the community a chance to not only hopefully get excited, but also to ask questions and to help participate in the prioritization. So we talked about windows and doors. And, those are going to be fairly expensive, but it's important for safety as well as for comfort. We talked about bathrooms and trying to improve our bathrooms, bring them up to a modern standard, especially the ones in this building, the ones that we investigated really 3 years ago. I think one of our architectural firms came up with a plan. We want to go back to that plan and see which parts of it we want to fund. The CTE project, which is a facilities project, a new project, but it would be part of the new facilities reality for us if it goes forward. We'll change these buildings and the community. We talked about the need for improving number of safety related issues, including the public address system, which does not work up to modern standards in a number of places in the building. The fire panel needs replacement. We need to rekey and replace doors And, you know, they, again, will be expensive because these are modern security doors. We've already replaced a number of them, but the ones that still need replacing are on our list. We also are looking to, in rekeying, try to, you know, make things, again, more secure. Eliminate some of the problems that currently exist of key systems that don't work correctly, that you have to maybe fight with in an emergency to get to open, but also to eliminate a proliferation of keys that over the years have gone outside the building. But so there are some drainage issues, lead issues over at RMS that facilities department that Sandy has been working on for a while and making, you know, addressing, but we want to continue with that, and there's some places where we're still getting some hits, and so we want to get to the bottom of that. The lower field we talked about quite a bit, although Gale Associates went over quite a number of potential improvements. The ones next to this campus, meaning the stadium field and the lower field, are ones that we think are particularly important and would like to bring forward. And we also talked about plans to initiate an ongoing maintenance program for our new HVAC system, so we can make sure that it maintains itself. It is maintained in top shape and continues to operate as designed. And now we have to put together our list and do our communication.
You missed the
Sentence.
part about the bathroom tour.
Yes, right. Well, as a matter of fact, Christine and Sandy, what did I leave out? I'm sure I left out a few things at least.
I think with any of the, you didn't ask me, so I'm sorry. Christine and Sandy, by all means, answer the question.
You did a pretty good job. Maybe.
Sandy focused on accessibility. So with the doors and handles and things of that nature, the locks, as well as the bathrooms, and all we do make certain that they are ADA compliant, so that we foster as much independence as possible.
Really appreciated that.
Any questions for John on facilities committee? Christine, did you have anything?
No.
As far as the communications committee, I still need to schedule the next meeting, get members, so that is still pretty slow. Do you have anything, Sandy? No. Okay. That completes board committee updates. Charlie, yes.
Just quickly, education committee.
Yep.
The two major issues there are, one, staffing. Okay, we've got 20% into the year. We have 11 new teachers, one is certified, the rest are not, and they need a lot of support. We have 18 new paras, 3 already have resigned. Okay, so we need 4 teachers and 12 plus paras that we're short right now. So staffing wise, we continue to have major problems in student services. We're getting a large amount of students in court placements. So the court determines where they go. And if they come here, then we have to handle them. We got 5 or 6 learners involved in that. We have 3 juvenile probation officers, which is a large number,
In the community.
which is indicative of the behavior issues that are going on. We didn't budget for some of these residential placements, so Jen's trying to find the money to support that. And we're taking in new student teachers where we can get them. And we're outsourcing their specialists, our therapists. So that's the story there. It's not a pretty picture.
Charlie, how many teachers did you say we're short of?
Four.
This point, four. Right.
But Jen is being very creative in some of the things that just, work assignments are covered, but they're concerning because we have administrators and case managers doing multiple things and the stress factor is gonna burn them out. You can't continue doing that. Hopefully we'll be able to get something done with our negotiations, because if there's any one area that really needs support, that's an area.
Positively, from the board's point of view, or the, I think, school district point of view, is that Lisa, who's not able to be here tonight, but Lisa went and spoke at the delegate assembly for NHSBA. And I went back and forth with her via email on Saturday, and she indicated that it went very well, that her time was about an hour, 15 minutes, 20 minutes of which were questions from the people in the community or the public. And then also she had quite a few people coming up to her and providing a lot of comments. So I think there was interest in what was presented. So this is the presentation right here. We're not going to go through it all, of course, but you can see that it started out with a picture of the board. Talked a little bit about how we are trying to be sustainable from a, we want to be innovative, but we also want to make sure that we do so in a way that's fiscally responsible as much as we possibly can. We talk about a variety of those ways. We talk about communication improvement. We talk about partnership, increasing partnerships and building leadership capacity. We talked about your decisions to focus on health and wellness in the school district. Many examples of really neat things happening. This is a picture or a set of pictures from the 4th and 5th grade learners at Jaffrey Grade School last year doing Inquiry Scholars over at Franklin Pierce University. And that partnership is blossoming and continuing to grow. This is a picture from a reading partnership that we had at RMS with Franklin Pierce. And that, again, is going to grow this year. This may have been JGS. I'm seeing an owl there. Might have been JGS, but I thought it was RMS. Anyway. And then, of course, the universal access to pre-K pictures of making sure that everyone has access and providing, athletics and uniforms to everyone so that they're all conant. And then that's more pictures of the same. This was a different view of the Little Oriole Center, and that this was an article that was written in the paper, the local paper, about how they had some evidence that it actually helped staff stay in the district as a result. So this was a retention issue as well as providing a need for our parents. Coming up next, November 4th, we're going to have a new after-school program over at Jaffrey Grade School in partnership with several groups. And then CTE planning, that's coming up next. This was one of our original pictures that we had shared. Of course, some of that is not accurate anymore, but it was one of the more colorful ones. And then a little bit about our focus on communication, collaboration, and community, and how we work in a collaborative leadership approach for our kids. Lots of our kids. So kudos to Lisa for getting all these pictures, because I did not provide any of them. So she was able to go in and get these. And then it's a great one. And then the award at the end. So thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, I'm glad she was able to attend. That's important. And it was such a nice day too. It was probably tough to be inside, but I'm glad. It went well. Okay, next up, for discussion items, we have the fiscal year 26 budget development calendar approval. So if you don't have that, then screen.
I believe this has been reviewed by legal. Finance committee reviewed it,
Mhm.
supported it. Then it went to legal. I think it's been reviewed and it was planning board.
You can see that it starts about a half a month earlier than what we have been doing in the past several years. We think that's necessary this year. And also, I believe we'd like to do our Saturday session earlier in November prior to Thanksgiving and not do one early December, where we seem to have some difficulties getting everyone during that time frame anyway. But also, the later you go, the more likely it will snow. Possibly.
So everybody's all set with, as far as the facilities committee, or the finance committee, Charlie. Legal, so that's ready for us to approve
For this
for
calendar,
this calendar. Yeah.
finance committee approved the calendar, then had it cleared by legal. Legal supports it, so.
All right. We make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget development calendar as presented.
Thank you, John.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Sandy. Any questions or discussion? I guess so once this gets approved, can this go to the towns, or how does this get communicated to like our partners on the select boards, things like that? You know, they like to kind of have early, but sometimes they show up to the meeting and all this stuff.
Sure. Send them an email.
Yeah, that would be good.
So we'll email
Just why the
the
dates on here are the same dates.
select board. From both towns,
What was that?
but also they'll be on the website.
It's saying that these budget dates are the same for towns as well, because they have, it's by state statute.
Right.
RSA's prescribe what has to be done when,
Yeah,
okay, so these budget calendars are almost identical for towns and school districts.
I think the ones that we kind of keep internally to ourselves is important for the towns because they send their representation.
right.
We've had representation the last 2 years, I think, from Ringe. I'm not sure we didn't have any from Jaffrey last year. I don't think we've had a Jaffrey for a couple years. Official representation.
I've been after them. I told them it's not me. They need to send somebody.
How is that person chosen?
It's usually one of the selectmen that is the representative.
For a few years, Laurel McKenzie served as a representative. And in my experience, it's often someone who goes to the selectmen and says, hey, you don't have anybody appointed for that. Would you like to appoint me? So, you know. At least that was how I got involved 10 years ago.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, I believe. If there's no further discussion, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the budget development calendar, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? So it's approved by a vote of 5-0. And we'll move to our second session of public comments. Still don't have any audience members, so again, I'll turn to our online audience and ask that you raise your hand to indicate if you have a public comment for tonight. Yes. No. We'll leave it open as we move on to the next. Board matters. We didn't have anything specific on the agenda, but I'll open it up to the board if there's any. Board matters that we need to discuss. Hearing none, we have. Only adjournment left on the agenda, so. I guess I'll check over here, still no. Public comments. So if there's no board matters, if we could get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion. we adjourn.
Thank you, Charlie.
And I'll second.
John seconds. Discussion, questions? All those in favor of adjournment, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstentions. So that passes and tonight's meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.